dynamics is it's physical, you know. I mean, it's definitely an emotional and physical thing. That's where it comes from. It's like, you know, you get to one part and then you want to, you know, I can't put it into words really what it is. It's just a feeling.
Slash is one of the most emotional guitar players that I've ever met or ever seen. And coming from Indiana, I used to play with this guitar player named Paul, and I learned about blues and emotionalism and stuff through him, and he was a big Page fanatic. And then I came to LA and I saw all these people trying to be Eddie Van Halen. And it took 5 years to find somebody who played more from the heart rather than just trying to be the fastest and trying to do this and that to be a big rock star. Someone who, like, he'll be very quiet and stuff most of the time and really won't let a lot of himself out until he picks up a guitar. And then his heart and soul seems to pour out through the guitar, and it's just like, I sit down a lot of times at shows, I'll sit down right on the stage, right in front of his amp when he's doing a solo, because it means so much to me just to hear that. It took a few years, like for a couple of years, Izzy was real good at, like, he'd been out there just long enough, and he was always good at scamming his way in, and I wasn't. So it took me like about 2 years to even like be able to talk to people. I just kind of like stand around and watch, you know, and people didn't accept you so easily. And I remember I was wearing cowboy boots, and I got told I looked like I just got off the boat. And now like people buy cowboy boots for their mother out there. It's like, it's kind of weird. But you know, we met Slash. We ran an ad for a heavy metal punk glam guitarist, blues influenced. And Slash showed up and we said, nah. But he kept popping up everywhere we were at, and all of a sudden we started working together. It took a long time, and I guess it took a long time for me to learn and accept things out there. You know, he had been there the whole time and nothing was really that new.
From the beginning.
Yeah. And Izzy was just running around learning about every fad that there was, till finally at this point he's just bored with everything except, you know, and just gets into his guitar, and it's real cool. He's like, you know, doesn't worry about too much of anything except his guitar.
It's really funny because like none of us are from Los Angeles, and everybody like tries to label us as an LA band. We just all happened to have met there, and we were the only 5 guys that could have made up Guns N' Roses. I mean, we had different combinations of us in different bands, you know, throughout the time we were coming up and getting it together. And
yeah, there was like 1 or 2 of the same guys.
We couldn't, there was nobody else in LA we could have played with, so it was inevitable that the 5 of us would get together because that was it. I mean, there was no other combinations that were going to work, you know.
I heard a Paul McCartney interview, and he was talking about how he writes songs, and he said that there is no formula. He says he's written songs probably every single way, you know, imaginable. And, you know, he was wondering if there was a few more ways. Sometimes it starts out with 1 word, sometimes 1 note, sometimes a verse, a riff, a chorus, a drum beat. It always varies every time. Sometimes a whole song hits you at once. Then you're very fortunate, I think. And, you know, you've really got something. Other times it takes, you know, it could take up to a year to get a song exactly the way that your mind's picturing it. A lot of times you hear something in your head, you picture it, but you can't quite figure out how to get it out. Like if you were a painter and you see the picture, but you can't figure out how to paint it. I've heard a lot of painters describe it as basically their work is just a shadow of what they saw in their head. You know, and sometimes that's what we get, other times we nail it right on the head and it completely comes out. Start a song, it's like I'll try it in different ways and finding which way fits it best. And if I think that some sound, some way of singing is going to work better, I'll just work on that way. It might be something new that I've never done before. Like, It's So Easy, I'd never sang a song like that before, but the high voice just didn't seem to fit it as well. And so I started working on the low one. And Mr. Brown's song, it reminded me of a Stones-ish type funk thing, and so I was just playing around with it, and then, you know, we heard a rehearsal tape back and it sounded like it might work, so I just started practicing that way. I'm like a second baritone, and I just worked on widening my range to get a high range, and so then I just try to find the way to use the whole thing rather than limit myself.
We have this song, My Michelle, right? And it's, Axel comes to me with these lyrics one day, and I go, no, Axel, you really can't say that. I mean, we've known this girl for years, and it's the truth.
When I was about 13, and I went out with her then later on, and we got into a little hassle or whatever, and then I wrote this song, and it was basically the truth, and it says some nice stuff about, you know, how...
At the end.
No, in the middle of it, you know, everyone needs love, and you know that it's true and stuff. But I like to describe, sometimes, like, you won't touch a subject because you don't want to expose it. It might hurt someone. But then, if the subject's really that interesting, you just rip it apart and expose it. And that's what we did. And basically, though, it worked out good for everybody in the long run. She's happy about the song, and her dad even liked the fact that it was really accurate. So.
It was funny at the time, though. It was like, no, you can't.
Yeah, at the time, it was really, it took 3 weeks for me to, like, finally go, what do you think of these lyrics? But she was really happy that I wrote it, so.
Now she's like popular. Popular, and everybody loves you, and you're making lots of money, and then it's gone at some point too. And then, you know, it's like we're lucky because we have people that we work with that we're close to, and we can, you know, really be personal with and feel like someone's, you know, actually loves us and whatever. And it's like,
I wouldn't go that far.
If it falls apart tomorrow, you know what I mean? Your history, no one gives a shit about you anymore. And, you know, what are you going to go back and get?
I'll be your friend. I'll still be your friend.
You're going to go back and get a secretarial job?
When will I talk to you? Once a year?
Yeah. Go back home to your parents? What? I mean, it's like, it's hard in that way, but it's worth it. This is great, you know?
We got hired to be the bad boys. And we were the bad boys, and now all of a sudden we have to be businessmen and respectable and good and stuff like that.
You can only be bad boys during non-working hours.
I'm psychotic, and that's a real problem to try to, like, you know, okay, now I'm done with business, now I can go in this room and be psychotic and tear it up. You know, it's like I have to, like, balance out, you know, when can I destroy everything around me to when I have to be nice to everybody.
Yeah, things aren't that cut and dry, so it's hard to...